Level 1. Age 22. The night you do the math you swore you wouldn't do. It's 11 p.m. on a Tuesday and you're scrolling, and one of those videos comes on. You should have 1 times your salary saved by 25. You do the math before you can stop yourself. Then you open your banking app. The number staring back is nowhere close. For a second, something in your chest drops, like a race started without telling you. But that benchmark was never built for you. It was built for someone with no student loans, no security deposit that ate last month's paycheck, no $900 car repair that showed up out of nowhere in March. It describes a person who already had a head start, so put the phone down. The number on the screen tonight means almost nothing. What matters is Friday. When you get paid, does $50 move into savings automatically before you even see it? Or does it dissolve into checking and disappear into nothing in particular? That $50 won't make you rich. That's not the point. The version of you who does this without thinking at 22 is the same version who'll be moving real money without thinking 20 years from now. Tonight isn't about the number. It's about who you're quietly becoming. Level 2. Age 28. The month one repair wrecks 3 plans at once. Your car needs work. Brakes, a sensor, something with the transmission the mechanic explains in a tone that means it can't wait. You transfer the money from savings without thinking twice. A week later, you check the fund for your friend's wedding next spring. Lower than you remember. Then the house fund? Lower too. Then the account you'd quietly started calling your real emergency fund. Also lower. 1 repair. 3 goals took the hit. Only one of them actually happened. This is the moment that catches people in their late 20s off guard. You've built up real savings by now, which feels like progress, and it is. But if it's all sitting in one account under 3 different names in your head, every emergency is secretly an attack on everything you're saving for, whether you notice it or not. The fix is separation, not more money. Give the emergency fund its own account, with its own rule, decided before you need it. Give the house fund its own, the wedding its own. Next time the $2,000 surprise hits, only one number flinches. The other 2 stay exactly where you left them. Level 3. Age 32. The spreadsheet that ages you 10 years in 10 minutes. You finally sit down to check whether your emergency fund still makes sense. You open a blank spreadsheet and start listing everything. Rent or mortgage, utilities, the car payment you didn't have at 25, insurance, groceries for however many people are in the house now, the subscriptions you forgot existed until you saw them on the statement. You multiply the total by 3. The number on the screen is almost double what's actually sitting in the account meant to cover it. You sit back, because here's what just happened. Quietly, over 7 years, without anyone telling you, your life got bigger. Your safety net didn't. You kept contributing to the same target you set at 25, the way you'd keep filling a cup that got swapped out for a bigger one without you noticing. This is the age the gap becomes visible. Not because anything went wrong, because for the first time you actually measured. The fix is uncomfortable but simple. Recalculate once honestly and close that gap before anything else competes for the money. A safety net that quietly became too small isn't a safety net anymore. It's a net with a hole in it, and you won't know the hole is there until you're falling through it. Level 4. Age 38. The night you realize you're saving for 4 different futures and funding none of them properly. You're at the kitchen table after the kids are asleep, going through accounts, and it hits you all at once. The retirement contribution that's been on autopilot since your first real job. The fund you started for your kids' future the week they were born, full of good intentions and not much sense. The list of things the house needs growing faster than the line item meant to cover it, and the emergency fund, technically still there, except you know exactly what it's missing because you remember spending it. 4 futures, 1 paycheck. For the first time, you can feel all 4 pulling in different directions at once. This is the year the math stops being the hard part. The decision is the hard part. Every dollar toward the renovation is a dollar not going toward retirement. Every dollar toward your kid's future is a dollar not rebuilding the net you already know is thin. There's no version of this where all 4 get funded equally. Pretending otherwise is how people end up with 4 half-built futures instead of 1 solid one. So you do something that feels almost rude to your own ambitions. You rank them, not by what feels loudest at midnight, but by what actually has a deadline. The retirement match goes first because it's the only one of the 4 that vanishes forever if you don't claim it this year. Everything else waits its turn. Level 5. Age 45. The conversation you have with yourself in the car after your friend's retirement party. You drive home turning one thought over and over. Your friend just retired. There was cake, a slideshow, someone gave a speech, and it was genuinely nice. But somewhere on the drive home, a thought arrives uninvited. That's 20 years from now for me. 20 years used to sound like forever. Tonight it sounds like next week. You get home and don't go to bed. You sit in the dark living room with your phone and do something you've avoided for years. You actually look at the number. It's smaller than you hope. Of course it is. That's why you've avoided looking. But here's what's easy to miss in that moment, feeling like you've wasted 20 years. You haven't. The number in front of you isn't your ending point. It's your starting point for the next 2 decades, and 2 decades does more for a balance than people in their 40s ever give it credit for. The real risk isn't the size of the number tonight, it's tomorrow. Life goes back to normal, and the version of you that just had this gut punch either does something this week while it's still sharp or lets it fade and drifts another 5 years on autopilot. The raise from January. The bonus you've been meaning to figure out. This is the week those stop being extra money and start being the 20 years you just realized you don't have to waste. Level 6. Age 55. The retirement seminar your company makes you attend, and the question you can't stop thinking about afterward. HR sends an email. Mandatory session, conference room B. Bring a laptop. You walk in expecting to zone out through slides about percentages. Instead, the advisor asks the room a question, almost casually the way someone asks what everyone's getting for lunch. How long do you think your money needs to last? Nobody answers right away. Someone finally says, however long I'm alive? The advisor nods. Right, and how long is that? The room goes quiet in a different way than before. Everyone's doing the same math in their head. Parents who lived into their late 80s, grandparents who didn't make it that far. The fact that people are living longer, which is good news, that also means the money has to stretch further than anyone planned for. You leave that meeting, and the number you've been building toward for 30 years suddenly feels less like a finish line and more like the starting line of a race you don't know the distance of. This is the moment 55-year-olds either lean in or look away. Leaning in means finally projecting what your life will actually cost in retirement, not what it costs now, and being honest about the distance between the two. It also means using this decade specifically because this is the last stretch where money put in now still has real years left to grow before you need it. Looking away means walking back to your desk and letting the question sit there unanswered for 10 more years, until it isn't a question anymore. It's your life. Level 7, age 65. The first morning you don't get a paycheck. It's a Friday. For 43 years, this was payday. You check your phone out of habit. Nothing comes in. Instead, today is the day you log in and move money the other direction. Out, not in. For the first time in your adult life, the number is supposed to go down on purpose, and your hand hesitates over the button longer than it should for something you planned for this long. You make the transfer. You close the laptop. The feeling that follows isn't relief. It's something closer to vertigo. 43 years of putting money in, and the one skill nobody taught you is what it feels like to take it out. A few months later, the market drops. You've seen drops before, plenty of them, and they never bothered you because you were still working, still adding money every 2 weeks, still years away from needing any of it. This time is different. This time you're not adding. You're withdrawing from a balance that just got smaller, and the two things happening at once, the drop and the withdrawal, hit differently than either one would alone. You don't panic, but you do call and move the conversation up by a few months. The one where you and your spouse sit down and actually talk through what happens if a year like this happens again, early, before the portfolio has had time to recover. This is the shift nobody warns you about. For 4 decades, time was the thing working in your favor. Every dip was temporary because you had years to wait it out. Now, time works differently. A bad stretch right now in the first few years doesn't get the decades it used to have to smooth itself out. So the plan from here isn't something you set once and walk away from. It's something you sit down with every year the way you'd check in on anything that has to keep working for as long as you do. Not because something's wrong, because for the first time in your life, the money's job isn't to grow, it's to hold.